After our family reunion, I checked my account, he was gone. We needed him more, my father said. I asked, startled, what next? As he laughed, the house shook violently, the door suddenly opened and family reunions were supposed to be warm, nostalgic gatherings filled with laughter, stories, and the comfort of belonging. But in the Miller family, reunions were not celebrations, they were battlefields. Behind every polite smile hid unspoken rivalries. Every toast wasn't to honor one another but to measure who stood taller, richer, and more favored in fathers' eyes. This year, father insisted the gathering take place at the estate, the sprawling, centuries-old house that loomed over the countryside like a monument to our name. Its grand chandeliers, oil portraits, and echoing halls whispered the weight of generations. As always, there was one person whose presence dominated every corner, my younger brother, James. James was father's golden child. Charismatic, reckless, and endlessly adored by relatives, he could do no wrong. I, Ethan, the eldest son, had always been the opposite, the quiet one, the steady one, the one who kept the businesses alive while James squandered opportunities. Yet, in father's mind, James shone brighter than I ever could. Dinner was a parade of pretenses. Cousins clustered in corners, whispering gossip. Uncles asked half-hearted questions, their eyes darting toward James. Mother poured wine with shaky hands, as though drowning the bitterness in glass after glass. Then, as silence fell, father stood and raised his glass high. His booming voice cut through the hall. To family, he declared. And to the future of this family, James. The applause was thunderous. Smiles widened. I forced myself to clap, though my stomach churned. Across the table, James smirked at me, a look that said, I've won again. The rest of the night blurred into shadows and murmurs, but the final blow came after the guests had departed. I retreated to my study, needing the comfort of numbers, of order, of something I could control. I logged into my account, my blood ran cold, empty, years of careful work, investments, and sacrifice, gone in an instant, I stormed into the parlor. Where father sat in his armchair, swirling whiskey like it was the elixir of kings, where is it? I demanded, he didn't even look startled. A cruel smile tugged at his lips. We needed him more. James, I whispered, the truth slamming into me like a knife. Father leaned forward, eyes sharp. What next, Ethan? Will you fight? Your own blood for money? Before I could answer, the house itself seemed to revolt. A deep rumble shook the floor. Glass rattled. Mother screamed as the chandelier swayed above us, and then, the front door burst open. A howling wind rushed through the hall. James stood in the doorway, pale as death, his clothes torn, his chest heaving. His eyes, usually arrogant and mocking, were wide with fear. They're coming, he whispered. The room froze. Even father, who had always been the immovable pillar of the Miller family, paled at James's words. Who's coming? I demanded. My voice sharp, cutting through the uneasy silence. James stumbled further into the room, his shirt torn at the sleeve, mud smeared across his shoes. He pressed a hand to his side as though each breath burned him. They know about the money, he rasped. About the transfer. I didn't mean to drag us into this. Mother rushed forward immediately, as though nothing had changed since James was a boy falling off a horse or catching a fever. She clutched his face, brushing dirt from his cheek with trembling fingers. Oh, James, my darling, she whispered, but I wasn't distracted by the act. I saw the guilt in his eyes, the way his voice cracked, not from exhaustion, but from fear. What did you do? I asked, my words low and dangerous. He couldn't meet my gaze. His eyes dropped to the floor. I borrowed. I invested, they promised returns. The truth slammed into me like a cold stone. A scam, I muttered, shaking my head. Not just a scam. You got in bed with the wrong people. Father's voice thundered, trying to drown out the rising panic. Calm yourselves. We are Millers. No one dares threaten us. He raised his glass of whiskey as if the amber liquid could anchor the world, but before his words fully left his lips, the lights flickered. A deep groan reverberated through the house, the beams above us shuddering, then came the voices, low, distant, and strange, carried on the wind outside. At first it sounded like whispers, but then the rhythm set in. A chanting, guttural and haunting, circling the estate like wolves, mother gasped, clutching her pearls so tightly I thought the strand would snap. Richard, what is that? Father's hand trembled around his glass, though he tried to hide it. Nonsense. Just trespassers. Vagrants. But James's wide, frantic eyes betrayed the truth. He glanced toward the tall windows, where shadows flickered unnaturally across the glass, too fast, too sharp, like they weren't bound by human movement. They want the money back, James whispered hoarsely. And if they don't get it, they'll take something else. The silence that followed was suffocating. No one dared breathe too loudly. That night, the house felt alive with fear. Every groan of the old floorboards became footsteps. Every gust of wind howling against the shutters became whispers at our door. None of us slept. By dawn, we gathered in the study, drawn together by desperation. Father slammed his fist onto the mahogany desk, the sound making mother flinch. Enough. He barked. We are Millers. We will not be threatened by criminals or superstition. I leaned forward, glaring at him. This isn't about pride. You gave James my fortune, and now whatever he tangled with is coming for us. If we don't face it, they'll destroy us. Mother's voice cracked as she turned to me, her hands twisting nervously in her lap. Ethan, what do we do? Before I could respond, the door burst open, not with wind this time, but with deliberate force. 2 men in dark suits strode inside. Their movements were calm, precise, but their presence filled the room with dread. Their eyes were like shards of ice, their smiles thin and cruel. Mr. Miller, one said smoothly, addressing father with mock politeness. We've come to collect. James whimpered behind mother. Father pushed himself to stand, squaring his shoulders, but I caught the tremor in his hands. How much? He asked, his voice thinner than usual. The man's smile spread wider, almost predatory. All of it. Or something worth more. His gaze drifted slowly across the room, pausing on each of us before settling on James, lingering there, heavy and deliberate, and in that moment, the realization struck like lightning. Father hadn't just given James my money. He had offered James himself, as collateral. The words hung heavy in the air. James went white, shaking his head violently. No. Father, tell me it's not true. Tell me you didn't. But father couldn't meet his eyes. His jaw tightened, his silence louder than any confession. You sacrificed me? James's voice cracked with disbelief, his whole body trembling. I'm your son. Better one than all, father muttered, but even he didn't sound convinced. His hands twitched, his voice thin, like a gambler cornered at his final bet. The men in suits stepped closer, their polished shoes clicking against the wooden floor like a death knell. One pulled out a contract, the paper crisp and deliberate. Sign him over. Or we take everything. Mother sobbed into her hands, her pearls rattling as though even they trembled. David and Claire, our siblings, stood frozen in the corner, too. Statues carved out of fear and cowardice, unwilling to move, unwilling to intervene. And me? I felt something inside me shift. All my life, I had been the forgotten son. The quiet worker. The reliable one they never respected. They drained me. Mocked me, ignored me. And now, the golden child, the favorite, was about to learn what it felt like to be discarded like rubbish. But as I looked at James, terrified, broken, betrayed, I felt no satisfaction. Only fury. Not at him, but at the man who orchestrated this. Father asterisk, you've destroyed us, I said coldly asterisk. Father's head snapped toward me, his eyes sharp with desperation. I did what had to be done. Asterisk, no, I countered, my voice rising. You did what you always do. You gamble with lives that aren't yours. First mine. Now his. Always someone else's price to pay. Asterisk, the men shoved the contract forward. Father reached for the pen with trembling fingers, asterisk, but I grabbed it first, asterisk. Everyone gasped. Mother screamed. James's breath hitched, asterisk, what are you doing? Father barked, panic cracking through his mask, asterisk. I signed the paper, not with James's name, but with mine, asterisk. James lunged forward, clutching my arm. Ethan, no. Don't do this. Asterisk, but it was done. I handed the contract back, my voice steady. Take me. The men exchanged amused glances. Interesting choice. The quiet one. The forgotten one. Their smiles widened, wolfish. Very well. Asterisk, they stepped toward me. But before they could touch me, the house shook violently again, so violently. The chandeliers crashed from the ceiling, glass raining like sharp stars. A voice boomed through the halls, rattling our bones, asterisk, you promised us him. Asterisk, the men froze mid-step. Their smiles faltered. Shadows erupted across the walls, twisting and stretching like black flames. And I realized the truth, asterisk, these weren't men at all. They were vessels. Messengers. Something older, darker, far beyond. Human greed, asterisk. James fell to his knees, his face hollow with terror. I made a deal, he choked. For power. For money. They want me. Only me. Asterisk. The shadows surged forward, tendrils reaching with inhuman hunger. Father threw himself. In front of James, arms spread wide, but the darkness ignored him entirely. They knew their mark. Their claws coiled around James, dragging him toward the open door that wasn't there before, a gaping void of night, asterisk. His screams tore through the house, desperate and raw, until they were swallowed whole by the dark, asterisk, and then silence, asterisk. The house stopped shaking. The chandeliers lay shattered on the floor. The shadows melted. The men in suits dissolved like smoke in the morning light, asterisk. All that remained was the echo of James's final cry, asterisk. Mother collapsed, wailing. Father stood trembling, his face drained of blood, lips working but no sound escaping, asterisk. I looked at him, my voice cold, sharp enough to cut. You tried to sacrifice me. And instead, you lost him. Asterisk. For once, Richard Miller, my father, the man who thought himself unbreakable, had no reply. Just silence and shame, asterisk. Days later, when the relatives whispered about James's sudden disappearance, Father muttered lies about a business trip. But the truth festered in that house, heavy and poisonous, asterisk. I left. For good this time. I didn't look back, asterisk, and as I walked into the crisp morning air, I whispered the words Father had once mocked me with, asterisk. What next? The answer came easily, a taste of steel on my tongue, freedom.